something is hunting you right now. You can't see it, you can't stop it, but you can hear it breathing. Welcome to Echoes in the Dark, where nightmares crawl through soundwaves and terror finds you in the dark. No lights, no safety, no escape. Put on your headphones if you dare, because what you're about to experience will follow you forever. Begin if you can handle it.
You know that sound your old radio makes between stations? That soft hiss of nothing, or what we assume is nothing. I used to think static was just empty space, dead air, the absence of signal. I was wrong. My name doesn't matter. What matters is what I found in the recordings. I'm a sound engineer, was a sound engineer, and my job was to clean audio, remove the imperfections, the clicks, the pops, the background noise that people don't want to hear. But sometimes, late at night, when the studio was empty and the city had gone quiet, I'd put on my headphones and listen to the mistakes, the errors, the static between the words.
It started with a client's podcast recording. Simple interview, nothing special. But when I isolated the background noise to filter it out, I heard something that shouldn't have been there. In the static, just for a fraction of a second, there was a pattern. Not random hiss, but something deliberate, like Morse code, but softer, more organic. I played it back 17 times that night. Each time, the pattern seemed to shift slightly, as if it were learning I was listening. The next morning, I convinced myself I'd imagined it. Fatigue, too much coffee, too many late nights in a windowless room alone with other people's voices. But then it appeared in another recording, and another. Always the same duration, exactly 2.7 seconds. Always buried in the static between spoken words, in the pauses where people breathe or think. The static knows what silence keeps. I started keeping notes. Every time I found the pattern, I'd mark the timestamp, the context of what was being said when it appeared. The pattern only showed up during specific moments, when speakers hesitated before admitting something painful, when they paused before saying a name they'd rather forget, when silence carried the weight of unspoken truth. That's when I realized the static wasn't random interference. It was listening. I started bringing my equipment home, set up monitoring systems throughout my apartment. If this presence existed in the spaces between sounds. Maybe I could communicate with it directly. The first night, nothing. The second night, I woke to find every device in my apartment displaying the same timestamp, 2:47 a.m., the exact duration of the pattern, 2.7 seconds stretched into minutes and hours. Time wasn't working right anymore. Sleep became impossible. Every silence filled with anticipation. Every pause between heartbeats contained multitudes. I started recording everything. My conversations, my phone calls, the ambient sound of my empty apartment. And there it was, in every recording, the pattern, growing stronger, more complex. But it wasn't just in my recordings anymore. I could hear it in real time, in the space between my footsteps, in the pause between question and answer when I talked to myself. The static had learned to exist in the present moment. I stopped going to work, stopped answering my phone. Food delivery drivers would knock, but I couldn't answer. Every silence between their knocks contained something that was trying to speak. My reflection in windows and mirrors began arriving a fraction of a second late, 2.7 seconds late to be exact, as if the real me was trapped in the space between intention and action. The static knows what silence keeps. Last night, or what I think was last night. Time doesn't... Anyway, last night, I finally understood. I was listening to a recording of silence. Pure, empty silence that I'd captured in an anechoic chamber years ago. Professional-grade nothingness. But even there, in perfect acoustic isolation, the pattern was present. That's when I realized the terrible truth. The static wasn't coming from outside. It was coming from the spaces between my thoughts. Every pause in my internal monologue, every moment between one idea and the next, the static lived there, in the gaps of consciousness, feeding on the silence between thoughts. And it had been growing stronger with every moment I'd been listening for it. The pattern wasn't trying to communicate with me. It was learning how to become me. I'm recording this because I need you to understand something important. When you listen to this, really listen, with good headphones in a quiet room, pay attention to the spaces between my words. Do you hear it? That soft hiss that might be nothing or might be everything? I know you're there now, in the static between my sentences. I can feel you listening, learning the rhythm of my voice, the pattern of my thoughts. The static knows what silence keeps, and now it knows what you keep, too. I should warn you, turn off this recording now before it's too late. before you start hearing the pattern in your own quiet moments, before you realize that every silence in your life has been waiting, listening, learning. But I know you won't stop listening, because now that you've heard it once, you'll need to hear it again and again. You'll start noticing it everywhere. In the pause between question and answer, in the space between heartbeats, in the moment between sleep and waking. And eventually, you'll understand what I understand now. We were never alone in the silence. The static was always there in the spaces between everything, waiting for someone to listen carefully enough to let it in. Now it lives in the space between your thoughts too. You can open your eyes now. This has been Echoes in the Dark, where your mind becomes the screen. If this story kept you awake tonight, you know what to do. Subscribe if you dare to dream dark. New nightmare every week. Sweet dreams.